Hi, Abel.
Hey, you sound great. Can you see me?
Yeah,
Okay,
I
perfect.
hear you. Everything's working beautifully.
Oh, perfect. Jeez. I actually did not have any issues whatsoever when I was going over on this, streaming live on Facebook, on Zoom. It's just with Instagram, I guess. Anyways, yeah, no worries. Sometimes, there are things that we just cannot we have no control over.
Exactly.
So okay, let me start and jump right into the questions. But for those of you who are watching, thank you so much for watching. Sawadee ka. This is Abel here. And I'm very, very happy to be welcoming my guest and my good friend, Yoga Buddy. And, we have a lot of chats about like spirituality and a lot of things after she moved to Phuket. But this is Natalie the Glabova. My gosh, my tongue is like tied. My friend Natalie G, just yeah, skip that.
Natalie G, I think that's a good way to put it. Thanks, Abel. Nice to see you.
And she is, of course, many of you know, Miss Universe 2005. She's also a self-love coach and, of course, author of her most recent book, which is I Am Winning. And today I invited Natalie because I wanted to catch up with her after our last chat back in May 2020, where I was interviewing her about in our You Are Able series. But today we're talking about how she adapted in the last year and a half because of COVID and how she switched her business from maybe doing a lot of in person and some online to now almost fully online. So, can you tell me a little bit about what you're doing? Again, I'm sorry.
Yes, that's okay. We did have some technical issues, so I'm going to have to start again, but that's okay. I don't mind. I don't mind at all. As I was telling to you earlier, over this past year and a half that this pandemic has been with us, or that we've been living through, I really did reinvent myself a lot and started to see myself more as an author because I started to write down a lot of the things and the insights and the lessons and everything that I was going through along with everybody else to adapt to the current situation. And I ended up writing over 15 ebooks. So actually, I Am Winning, which is my published book that's available on Amazon, is not my latest book. I have written 15
Oh, wow.
ebooks and they're all available on my website. And they range from, of course, my main clientele who are pageant contestants, and I coach them how to have that winning mindset and how to tune into the winning energy so that they can win the crown. So I've written books for that, but I've also written books about spirituality and winning relationships and chakra, how to chakra system, right? How to balance and maintain a good flow of energy. I've written about how to win in love because I also do coaching and master classes for those people who want to attract love in the form of a partner. And so mainly my coaching involves around finding that self-love so that you can attract love, finding that self-love so you can be more confident and authentic. So basically, it's all of that so you can have a winning life. So you can win in life and in love. This is kind of my tagline. I coach people so they can win in life and in love.
Exactly. No, I think that's a very, very catchy, tagline because obviously you won, one of the biggest titles in the world as Miss Universe. And for those of you who do not know me as well, I am Abel, and I didn't introduce myself, but my background is international presenting, and but I have also now transitioned into communications coaching, mainly in mass communications, very different from what Natalie does. But obviously we are now educators, coaches are educators, and what I wanted to do in my series is to educate people in different aspects of life as well. Natalie and I have a love for personal development, spirituality, yoga, and of course we're both coaches in our way. I'm a communications coach, she's a self-love coach, or winning, targeting mainly in pageants, but not specifically to women, but also to men as well, if you're looking for coaching with Natalie. But what I wanted to ask specifically today, based on what she wanted to talk about, which is the master of adaptability, is the last time we spoke on the You Are Able series was in May 2020, and that's over a year and a half ago. Now, I wanted to know, how have you adapted or changed mainly your business or maybe even your mindset in moving it from where it was to where it is now? Can you explain a little bit how you have adapted because of COVID?
Yes, I've had to adapt completely to the new environment and a new way of life, as most of us have, I'm sure.
Right. Yeah.
And the way that I do my business and the way that I do my work has completely shifted. So I did end up kind of having to become a chameleon to
Yeah.
try to adapt to every single change and every single shift that's been happening on the outside.
Right.
And of course, when I started coaching, it was mainly in person live coaching. I started
Right.
with online, live events that I hosted and
Right.
live seminars. Then we moved over with my business partner to do courses for high schools and universities, and we ran a very successful Empowered You summer school course where students actually got credit for their studies in the university. And so it was really rewarding because I got a chance to be in a room full of people,
Right.
seeing their reactions, interacting one-on-one, and in big groups. And then of course, when COVID hit, everything changed, right? So
Yeah,
absolutely no
exactly.
more live events. I couldn't travel to promote my book because prior to
Right.
that, I was going from different countries like Hong Kong,
Mhm.
Malaysia, Indonesia. I was going to promote my book and also create these I am winning events to allow
Mhm.
people to get my autographed book and also give them some
Right.
empowerment as well and coaching. So everything changed. I had to scramble to rebrand myself online. And luckily, I already had quite a large following online because of my
Right.
time in Miss Universe and being a celebrity here in Thailand and in other countries. So I put everything online, and within the first year, my husband and I, we had built my brand and a business as Natalie Glebova coach, right? So it wasn't just Natalie Glebova, former Miss Universe and author, but it was also author, coach, and former Miss Universe. So it just, I had to restructure how I presented myself online and how I spoke about myself and what kind of content I put out there. I mean, I can talk about for hours about the strategies that I used for rebranding myself. And I actually do
I
have
would
a
love to hear
masterclass
it.
and an ebook about that, how to build a successful winning online brand. But because we have a short amount of time, yeah, I just had to adapt and move everything online. It was difficult and it was a lot of work, but it's happening. We're doing it.
You're talking about master of adaptability. We had to adapt from moving from Instagram, which was, we were live for like 10 minutes, now to Facebook because things change so quick. Of course, technology has helped us tremendously during this period, but adapting is so crucial in this day and age. And what I wanted to ask you is, specifically for those people who are watching, who are doing business, and I know that we can talk for hours because I can also share a lot of my tips on what I have done, but I think that you are more further along in your coaching development and career than I am. I have really started coaching maybe fully 6 months ago, whereas you have started doing it in 2018. So you definitely have a lot more experience in, developing your brand. Where can people find you, for example, to see your courses online? What platform are you using now?
I'm using all the platforms available. Majority of my audience definitely comes to me and my clients come to me from Instagram because it is kind of my platform of choice. That's where all of the young women that I coach and my target audience and the demographic that I'm after is hanging out on Instagram. The younger crowds, right?
Right. So you know that your target audience are female mainly because they're pageants and they're younger females. So that's why you chose Instagram.
early to mid 20s females. Not all of them are pageant contestants. Some of them have heard of me through pageants because they've seen me or watched me on TV, or they have seen me somewhere. But most of them are young women, early to mid 20s, who are having big goals, big dreams, whether they're pageant goals, whether they're career goals. They're working women, they are career women, they are ambitious, they have their own income, and they really, really have big goals, whether it's to win the crown or to become a multimillionaire.
Yeah, I want to be a multimillionaire myself too.
Or maybe some people don't.
Well, I think it's very important for us to establish ourselves online now. I mean, everything is moving online. And when you say that you're on many, many platforms, can you just share two that you're on?
Sure. I would say Instagram and Facebook would be the main ones.
Okay.
And then YouTube is more for my travel channel. That I also have another side of me, which is, of course, family travel. And we have a travel book family channel where we showcase wonderful moments, and we share our moments from the road as we travel around the world. And again, it hasn't been easy because for the past year and a half, we hadn't been able to travel anywhere. We finally took a big trip this past summer, as you know, for 10 weeks. But again, we've had to adapt, we've had to change, we had to travel locally and make content from local hotels versus going abroad. So everything had to adapt. And even mindset, we had to learn to adapt, because you go from always being out, meeting for coffee, going to, you know, these events and gatherings and networking groups, to all of a sudden you are your world just collapses and it becomes so much smaller. You're basically, your radius of where you're moving around
physically,
like I don't know how many times, like 10 times or more, or 100 times. And now you're going between your home and the grocery store, or between the home and, you know, your car. Luckily we have a beach right nearby, so that was good. But we've had to change the mindset to say, you know what? Yes, we cannot control the outside circumstances, but we can control how we feel on the inside. And we rolled with the flow and rolled with the punches and kind of just, developed this whole new business. We loved having a home routine for a change, and working together with Dean, which is something we didn't do before, but then we started working together. So everything changed, and we had to adapt in so many different ways.
Yes.
So, yeah.
I also wanted to share as well, you know, how I've adapted to this new environment, where all of my meetings, instead of meeting in person, they're all over Zoom now. But physically, we have become very restricted. But my clientele, and I'm sure it's similar to yours too, my clientele now has become the whole world. Mainly focused in Asia. So like, for example, like I'm trying to reach out to people in Singapore, Malaysia, not so in Hong Kong, even though I'm originally from Hong Kong, but a lot of the people that somehow I reach out to are in Singapore and Malaysia. And those are the people who are coming back to me as well. Now, for you, there is no specific target that you're targeting, because we're trying to reach out to the whole world through your Facebook and your Instagram. And you said that you have adapted a lot in your mindsets, and I have as well. And that is that, you know, there are times when you feel very restricted physically, where you can't go certain places. And in Phuket, I think it's still much better than most countries. We can still, you know, go to a lot of places, such as go to the beach, and we still feel like we are in a tourist environment or a fun environment. But what I always remind myself, and when we're talking about mindset adaptability, is that I always try to remind myself to not only stay positive, but to remember that, yeah, you know, I'm not starving. I didn't lose my job. I was an entrepreneur before COVID started, and has allowed me to adapt easier in this environment. But for those people who are not entrepreneurs like you and I, from, you know, before, they are, let's say, like they're employees, and they have lost their job. Like, what advice would you give to people like them, especially if they want to start something online, but they're fearful? And I know that we're off the questions that I've sent, but, you know, it seems to flow this way. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Number one thing that I would recommend is definitely get your inner world into balance. And this is where my
Mm,
spirituality is going to come out a little bit. So I apologize to anybody who is not into spirituality, but I think it's all connected at the end of the day.
yeah.
And whether you call it spirituality, whether you call it discipline or routine, whatever, you need to get your inner world in balance, starting with your even environment where you need to order everything and make
Mhm.
everything neat and tidy and organized. And then working with yourself on the inner side with finding that deeper level and deeper dimension of who you are so that you're not constantly just scrambling to try to chase the next outer layer of yourself, like who am I going to be, who am I to other people, how am I going to be perceived by everybody else, right? So
Who do you
finding
think
that,
you are, right? Who do
yeah,
you
so
think
finding that
you
deeper
are,
dimension,
right?
getting into some sort of spiritual practice, whether it could be yoga or breath work or meditation or simply just being alone with your thoughts. So sometimes you don't need to get really esoteric. You can just be alone with your thoughts. I have a friend who is not into any of this stuff, but she goes for massage twice a week, and that's her
Mm,
time to be alone with herself. So she's not escaping reality. She's not trying to
right,
push down all of her fears and thoughts
right.
and negative energy and the anxiety that comes with the thoughts, right?
Mhm.
So a lot of the people, of course, when they suffer something like a job loss, they will turn to other things, right? To distract themselves or
Yeah.
to run away or use it as an escape, you name it, whether it's binge watching Netflix, drinking, shopping, you name it, right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
definitely finding that inner balance by making some sort of routine that you can fall back on, as our minds are so easily,
Distracted.
yeah, and they also work really well with routines, our minds, right? Because when there's chaos on the outside and we know we have no control over the outside, having
Yes.
that routine makes our minds very, very safe and secure and makes us feel good about ourselves, good about life. So finding that routine, whether it's exercise, whether it's yoga, whether it's meditation, whether it's affirmations, writing in your journal, you name it. There's all kinds of self-development tools that I'm not going to bore you with. You all
Mhm.
know them by now, but find something that works for you. And so that would be my first tip, is to just get yourself that inner balance, because once you have the inner balance, the outer life flows. It kind of
Oh,
follows suit. And it really is a reflection. Your outer life is a reflection of your inner life. So after that, you'll get ideas, you'll be very intuitive. All of this insights are going to come to you. And then you will see a path slowly emerging where you're like, okay, I know what my next step is. I know where my heart is calling me. I know where I belong. And you go from there, whether it's getting another job, whether it's starting a business, whether it's, going to help in the community, whatever it is, finding that purpose and that sense of why I'm getting up in the morning is going to be super, super helpful. And anyone can get there if they just get into their routine and find that peacefulness that opens the portal, and the energy and insights are going to flow.
I know if I go into that with you, I'm going to be talking forever with you
I
about all of
know.
growth and development. And what I want to share with the viewers, for example, like last week we had a viewer asking, how do we find that positive outlook in life? And what you were saying is that have a routine. One thing I want to add to that is that I find that if you have a routine at the beginning of the day and then you have a routine at the end of the day, that's a really good way to start the day and to end the day. So I start my day with obviously, breakfast, yoga, and then I start to do a little bit of my work. And then there are other things that I do with my kids, my family, errands. But then I always end my day with reading books before I go to bed. And that's a way for me to calm myself. And that actually allows me to feel productive at the end of the day as well. So I find that if you have a routine at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day, it's actually very good. And then, you can always fill something in the middle, but always remember also, like you said, keep a journal. And you don't have to write every single day. I used to write diary every day when I was in my teens, and now I write maybe once a month, sometimes even less, and then sometimes more. But when you find yourself negative, first of all, I would suggest you try some ways to sweat. Exercise, whether you're confined in your room or not, exercise, and also exercise your mind with positive thoughts. Telling yourself what do you want to not just achieve, but also like how good you are. Like to be grateful for yourself, for all the things that you already are at this moment, because we always want to achieve and look ahead, but sometimes we forget all the things that we are now as well. That's part of the spirituality. That's like part of the compassion for yourself that sometimes I feel that I forget even, because we want to grow, we want to achieve, we want to take care of our families, make money, etc. So that we're looking ahead, but then we forget to just be in this moment. And a lot of things that I felt that you said allow me to remind myself too of all the things that we need to appreciate now. And then of course, with the journal, you can write things that you wish to achieve, your goals, and then think about how to achieve those things over time, step by step. So that's why I wanted to add in addition to what Natalie had to say. And, time is flying by. And before we end, I wanted to ask Natalie one more question. And that is talking back about being the master of adaptability. What specific advice or most frequently asked questions do people ask you about, your success or how to adapt in this environment? Like what kind of advice would you want to give to people in this moment relating to being a master of adaptability?
I would say that you need to, again, understand that you are not in charge at all of what happens on the outside. Right. Meaning you don't know the illnesses or the deaths or the job losses or the weather or nothing on the outside is it's not in your control. And so understanding that and saying to yourself that you are definitely in charge of how you react to any of those things and your mood and your energy levels and everything else that's coming from the inside, your motivation, the positive thinking, that is in your control. So learning how to surrender and learning how to go with the flow and say, you know what, universe, whatever you believe in, I accept everything that's coming my way. I open my heart, open my arms and my palms. And sometimes I do that in my meditation, put myself into the physical expression of surrender.
Right.
And I will say, I accept everything that's coming without judgment, without resentment, without resistance, and without any sort of control, relinquishing all control, and saying that I really intend to be all of those things, like healthy, energetic, grateful and disciplined, kind and generous, present and aware. Okay, these words are rolling off my tongue because it's actually my affirmation. So what I do is every time I shower, I say those words, right?
That's beautiful. Yeah.
And so you need to learn that, yes, certain things you have control, like your routine and what you do on a daily basis. And like Abel was saying, having that routine in the morning and in the evening is absolutely essential. I'm going to take your advice and start reading in the evening because I feel like my evening routine needs a bit of tweaking. But yes, telling yourself that nothing on the outside is in your control, everything on the inside is under your control. And then taking each situation and learning to go with the flow. And that's how you become a master of adaptability, because in the present moment, without any judgment of the external situation, you will know the right thing to do. If you are balanced on the inside, if you have your solid routines, if you have discovered that deep dimension of yourself and you found that peace and joy and love that we're all made of, right? On the soul level, that's who we are.
Yes.
You will know exactly where to go. So that's all I really have to say. And I know I tend to get into this subject of spirituality, but it's just no matter how you look at it, you can't get away from it.
It's part of us, right? It's, our body, our mind, and our soul. And spirituality to me is another word for, personal development, pretty much,
Yeah.
growth.
It just depends how you
Exactly.
label it. You
Exactly.
can label it as personal development, you can label it as spirituality or even faith and religion, or you can label it as something more scientific, right? Like cognitive behavioral therapy or something.
Exactly. And, once again, that was a beautiful way for you to wrap up what you said. And that is obviously mindset positivity, how you think, which is related to how you communicate with yourself, right? And, closing on, this podcast after chatting for about half an hour, and that is how you communicate with yourself, not just, for example, as a communications coach. Yes, I teach people how to communicate outward, but you also need to be aware enough of your thinking, your own patterns of what you choose to think, because a lot of times it's just like our heart beats by itself. Our mind sometimes think on its own. And unless you grow and develop the awareness, like you calm down and you slow down to be aware enough that, why did I think that? And why did I think that? Why did I think that? And that's why you need coaches like ourselves, right? Like myself as a communication coach, or Natalie as a self-love coach, somebody who can help guide you, or be your mirror. That's what I say, to be your mirror, because it's very hard to see your shadows. And I call it my ugliness that I had to accept, which was very hard. So it's very, very important how we communicate with ourselves and with the outer world. That's going to help us to adapt, to grow, and to be the successful people that we all want to become, right? So I just wanted to end by saying thank you so much to Natalie Glebova. And I apologize, I didn't say it correctly because I was rushing and I was adjusting things. But I'm just so happy to have you back once again on the You're Able series. And I invite everybody to contact you and contact myself for future coaching sessions. And you also offer consultation, correct? Free consultation.
I do. Anybody who wants to get in touch, I think on my website you're able to book a one-on-one consultation call. If whether you're looking to win the crown or win in love or win in life, even. I do have a masterclass called Win in Life.
Wow, that's beautiful. Thank you so much to you once again, Natalie. And you're most welcome to contact me as well on my Facebook page, which is live. I'm going to go live again next week with a new guest, and I will be sharing all of that with you all next time. And I apologize today. I do not have time for question and answers, but you can write your comments below on my page for Natalie and I, and we're more than happy to answer it for you later. So thank you once again, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much, my dear.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Have a good day. I will see you very soon, okay?
Have a winning day. Bye.
You too. Bye.